Welcome to the Black Duck Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Wilkins. I'm excited to have you join me as I speak with a fascinating collection of folks, all of whom have in common that they've made a way for themselves by finding an intersection between thoughtful consideration and the tactile work of getting their hands dirty. This is an examination of intention, capability, and craft. It's where philosophy meets the blue-collar work ethic and where I find real value. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This week I am joined by Joshua Hinson of Ada, Oklahoma, and that's located on the Chickasaw Indian Reservation there in kind of southeastern Oklahoma. This is a dude that I met, just like on Instagram, kind of became more and more interested in what he was doing and his perspective, and ended up saying yes to a very generous invitation to go on out to his place there in Oklahoma on the reservation, do a little bit of duck hunting, but mostly just kind of get to meet him and see what he's doing. He's really doing some very special stuff in a very special place. And we'll go into much more detail in this podcast, but Joshua is really kind of a lot of different things. He's a incredibly talented visual artist as far as painting and drawing. He's also a hunter. He's a waterfowler. He's a dog guy. He's making hand-carved wooden decoys, very much in that old kind of North Carolina tradition, but very much influenced by his own Native American heritage. And some of the showpieces that he's making incorporate some tribal symbolism and art that's very important to his understanding of himself and the world as a Chickasaw man. Professionally, he is a linguist. He's a Chickasaw linguist. He's one of a very small group of people who is fluent in Chickasaw, and he spent about the last 20 years really dedicating himself to becoming an expert in that language, and then also developing language programs, working with Rosetta Stone and within the Chickasaw Tribal Organization to not have this be a language that disappears, right? To have this be something that continues into perpetuity. And we talk a lot about that language. We talk about that as a cultural identifier. We talk about Josh's work as an artist and as a waterfowler. And we spent a lot of time talking about some of Josh's perspective as a Chickasaw man and as a person who is kind of dedicating his life to perpetuating his culture and his way of seeing the world. Really, really, really fascinating guy. And I mean, the conversation was fantastic. The driving around the reservation, him showing me that, incredibly generous with his time in his home, and it's introducing me to people and, just having some really awesome conversations. Also, that last morning I was there, I was able to go duck hunting with him and a buddy of his who was like just a top shelf Southern gentleman. And, it didn't end up being like the most action-packed hunt, but it's probably one of my favorite hunts in the last few years. And it's primarily because, we saw a few birds. We were able to get a few mallards to pretty much do it the way we wanted to. And then, man, we had like a pleasant conversation. We ate some smoked salmon, like a good Honeycrisp apple, some good Irish cheddar, a little hot coffee. Man, it was like I felt like a real gentleman. Man, it was fun. It was real, real fun. And we got a snipe too, so like a variety of waterfowl, a couple different kinds of ducks. And then I hightailed it back. I was really only there for like 24 hours or something, but I hightailed it back to Arkansas because this is a busy time of year. Anyway, check this guy out. His name's Joshua Hinson, also known as Lacoche. Please enjoy the podcast. All right, welcome back to the Black Duck Revival podcast. This week I am in Ada, Oklahoma, on the that's the heart of the Chickasaw Reservation, and I am at the home of one Joshua Hinson, aka Lacoche.
You got it.
Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
And man, I came up here to check this reservation out, and we're gonna do some Oklahoma duck hunting tomorrow. But this is a dude I came across on Instagram, and it was just kind of one of those like natural, like, hey, this guy's what he's doing is pretty interesting, man. And then we just started chatting just a little bit ago. And yeah, man, this is like a 24-hour trip. I just want to run over here and say what's up. But dude, thanks a whole bunch for being so welcoming and letting me come check out where you live and be in your house and everything.
Oh man, it was my pleasure. I mean, I've been following you and listening to the podcast for a while, and you messaged me on Instagram. I was like, oh yeah, let's do this.
So before we start this conversation, we've been talking like all day, right? But like the term that you're using is Indian, correct?
Yeah.
So that's going to be the term that I use mostly in this conversation. And the whole reason I'm bringing that up is because I'm going to use that term because that's the term that you use and you are comfortable with. And I just want to make the point that might act, strangely enough, people are not a monolith, and there might be somebody who prefers to be called Native American or indigenous or only referred to by their tribal affiliation,
right.
or there might be someone who doesn't want to do any of that, and I'm just an American. And so whatever the case is, I would just say that maybe ask the person you're dealing with what they prefer and then have enough respect to use that, right? Like my homie in Oregon, Lydia, always uses the term indigenous. Mm-hmm. But like I took note from talking to you on the phone and then being here that you're saying Indian. So that's the term we're going to use. And just like basic respect, folks. Like that's all I'm shooting for here. And I think people... like a lot of times people dealing with me, like they defer to like the term African American, right? Mm-hmm. Which doesn't bother me. I take it as a respectful term. I don't say African American that much. I usually say black, but I did just want to bring that point up because I've heard it on other podcasts. Like just because you talk to one dude and he told you what he was cool with doesn't mean that all the other people, and especially when we're talking about Indians, Native Americans, or whatever. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of tribal affiliations that could be separated by thousands of miles. So vastly different experiences and perspectives on stuff.
Well, I mean, even within, our tribe, like I'm here with you, common interests, like we're talking about like my lived experience. I'm not talking for every Chickasaw. Yeah. I'm talking for me, just me. So like you said, you're absolutely right. Some people prefer Native American, American Indian, First American. But in the community, when you talk to the traditional folks that I run with, they say Indian all the time. Mm-hmm. So Indian, Chickasaw, all that stuff's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right because when I'm talking to other black people, we don't refer to ourselves as African Americans or people of color.
No.
I mean, maybe occasionally I've heard that, but very rarely.
I don't like Native American because it's been co-opted in some instances by people with a political agenda. American Indian's cool. We use First Nations or First Americans sort of corporately in the tribe. But, in Indian country, it's Indian country, and people say Indian, and that's okay.
Well, and the reason that this is like kind of at the forefront of the conversation is not just because Josh is a member of the Chickasaw tribe. It's because, like your job and the focus of your work, like you work for the tribal government. Mm-hmm. Specifically, what's super interesting to me is that you're shoring up this linguistic database, right? So like you're keeping Chickasaw as a language that is spoken and not just relegated to that to the used to be's, right?
Right.
So, and like, look, there's a bunch of other cool stuff going on here. There's like decoy carving. There's like when we were at the cultural center today and you were like showing me, I mean, you're not just to diminish anybody, but I mean, you're not just working in this linguistic space, right? You're also you're contributing to kind of like the outward facing, self-expressed information of Chickasaw people, like to the outside world, right? Like there's the visual artistry that's a big part of what you're doing too, right? And you're incorporating your heritage into that. So that's why I'm not just like, I didn't just like find an Indian and say like, let's talk about this.
There are much better Indians than me, if that's what you're going for.
But yeah, man. So like, let's just start. Let's talk about like what your job is. What's your 9 to 5, and like kind of how you came into that.
Sure. So I'm the executive officer of the Division of Language Preservation for Chickasaw Nation. We're under the Department of Culture and Humanities, and I direct report to Lisa John, who's the Secretary of Culture and Humanities. It's equivalent to like a federal secretary position to help people understand. Like we have a tribal governor that's popularly elected. He selects his cabinet, and I work for one of those cabinet secretaries.
That's probably actually worth explaining to folks.
Yeah.
Because this is just stuff that I'm starting. I've been asking you all sorts of questions, like full disclosure, I've kind of realized in the last year or two that, and it was really because I kind of got called out by a friend of mine, but that I think just because of like where I've lived and where I spent most of my time, like I've been in places where there was not a large or prominent community of indigenous peoples, right? So I almost kind of, I think without realizing it, I was kind of relegating Indians to like something that used to be right, because like especially in Arkansas, it very largely is, and there's reasons, and we can talk about, like namely the Trail of Tears, and that was like a pathway that people went through to get to this reservation system in Oklahoma. But yeah, like this, it's culturally, it's not everywhere still, right? I mean, the vast majority of Native Americans, American Indians were, died, right? They were like wiped out through either war or probably largely through germs.
Disease was a big deal. I mean, in most cases, like, we're Southeastern people. You look at the presence on the landscape, and we're represented by names, because most of those folks are gone.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Florida, Georgia, Alabama,
Absolutely.
Mississippi.
Kentucky, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, I mean, but
Arkansas, Missouri. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
When you think about American Indians, you're thinking about like the reservation system in Oklahoma. Right. Then you've got Southwestern reservation system, right?
The Plains.
Then you get up to like in the Dakotas and all that stuff. And then, I mean, definitely still in the, like Montana, like Idaho, Washington.
Yeah.
But as far as like where I've spent most of my time in the middle of the country, it's history books, it's museums, it's representation in movies. It's saying that like Mississippi is a Indian word for big river.
Right.
But so there is a. We're in Oklahoma. We are on the Chickasaw reservation. So do you mind, like, could you explain kind of like what that reservation system is? Because we've got Chickasaw, next to this is Choctaw, above us or north of us would be Muskogee. Then you got Cherokee as well.
So during the Indian Removal Act, which was signed by Andrew Jackson and following, the southeastern tribes were systematically removed to Indian territory, which inconveniently meant we were put on the homelands of indigenous people that were already here. So like our reservation was previously Caddo and Wichita and so forth. So in the specific case of the Chickasaw Nation, we purchased an interest in the Choctaw Nation's territory in Indian Territory. We were a Chickasaw district, which made us, a minority, politically speaking, a minority. And from 1837, when we began the removals, till 1854, 1855, it was that time, the people said, this is not going to work for us. Like, we need our own, we need to separate legally in many ways from Choctaw Nation. So the reservation that as it exists now is a portion of the reservation that was assigned following the signing of the removal treaties. In our case, it's 1832. So it existed, from 1855 until statehood in 1907. The intent of the Allotment Act was to sort of destroy common ownership. We didn't have individual property ownership until after statehood. But it failed. The efforts of some to, destroy tribal government, push us towards sort of American property owning, that sort of stuff. It didn't really work out, because our governments never ceased to function. And so the reservation that we live on today was reaffirmed following the McGirt decision by the Supreme Court. I think it was in 2020. I'm not a legal scholar, but somewhere around there. And it affirms for the purposes of criminal jurisdiction that our reservations, the entirety of eastern Oklahoma, with some exceptions, still exist. So the reservation is a reservation. Despite, the intent of Congress, they never acted in a decisive and sufficient manner to terminate our reservations. All the treaties say this will be your land, as long as the waters run and the grass grows. And in this case, it proved to be true, at least in this very limited sort of sense.
And so, does that mean that you have dual citizenship, right? So you're American citizenship and then Chickasaw citizenship.
Yeah, so this is something that's really important and people don't understand. Being a citizen, well, let me give you an example. Just because I have Irish ancestry does not make me a citizen of Ireland. Mm-hmm. I have Chickasaw ancestry, and I descend from Chickasaw people who are on our base rolls. So I'm legally a Chickasaw citizen. So I'm a citizen of the United States, I'm a citizen of the state of Oklahoma, and I'm a citizen of the Chickasaw Nation. All those three things can coexist at one time.
I wonder if it's probably worth looking at this a little bit. Yeah. So you're talking about the base rules, right?
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting / contentious / painful / thing, right? So when we're talking about the base rules, and again, I want to be clear here that we're talking about Chickasaw people right now, right? That would be your area of expertise. Right. There's bleed over into other experiences of other tribes,
That's right.
This isn't ubiquitous across.
Right. It's not Indian country wide.
Yeah.
Every tribal government in the United States follows their own laws, their own constitutions, or their lack of constitution. Traditional governments, customary laws, the people, that political body decides who is and who is not based on any number of factors.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you reference base roles.
Yes.
I've heard other people talk about the idea of blood quantum.
Right.
Right. Which would kind of be familiar to people if you're familiar with the idea of the one drop rule that was instituted during slavery. But yeah, so kind of as best you can, maybe explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So every Chickasaw person alive today descends from ultimately around 1,700 people who managed to survive the intertribal warfare of the 18th century and subsequent pandemics like smallpox, for example. So we were always very small group of people. After removal, we were forced between 1837 and as late as the 1850s, maybe even 1860s, there was this sort of movement to remove. It took us a long time. So we were forced from our traditional homelands, assigned this reservation. There were significant and politically and economically powerful interests in Washington and elsewhere that wanted to create the territory as a new state. And what they did was, through the Curtis Act and then the Dawes rolls, they established this base roll. And so there's a citizen by blood roll, and then there's a minor citizen by blood roll. And those were between 1898 and 1907. They were closed in 1907. So after statehood, the citizenship of the Chickasaw Nation was only those original enrollees, those people that were enumerated on that roll. And they were the only tribal citizens until our new Constitution, which was 1983, I think. So at that time, the Chickasaw people, those original enrollees, determined that for the purposes of ongoing tribal citizenship, if you could trace your descendancy from a person who's on one of those rolls, you would then be legally considered a Chickasaw citizen. And that's how we operate today. It's much more traditional. We don't follow blood quantum. Chickasaw identity is about relationship. And if you have these ongoing relationships, not only to ancestors, that makes you a citizen, but relationships with other Chickasaw people makes you an active and sort of like dynamic member of our community, regardless of where you live. So we're all connected ultimately to about, 5,000, 5,500 people that were living between 1898 and 1906, 1907.
Is that, I imagine I know the answer to it just because I know people, but is it like Harry Potter? Is it like the purebloods and the Muggles, and like there's some folks that are like, man, I can trace my ancestry straight direct line back to the original 1700, and is that like a flex or something?
Oh, I guess for some people, people express their Indian identity in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's living in community, speaking my language, doing my best to be responsible to other people, playing my part. But other people, they're like hardcore genealogy Indians. Like they know all that stuff, and that's cool. Some people are powwow folks, and that's how they express their identity. So yeah, some people are like, oh, I trace my ancestry back to 1690, and that's cool. That's cool. But like, what are you going to do for our people tomorrow? That's what matters to me. So like, I can flex, I descend like 9 generations of Chickasaw women. I still have a clan. I still have a house. I speak my language fluently. I have, a name. I'm a leader on the ceremonial grounds. But for all intents and purposes, I'm a big white dude out in the world. So I'm trying to be the best white Chickasaw I can be.
Yeah. So, and that's something you referred to yourself as in our conversations as a white Indian. And so, basically what we're talking about is that you're like a mixed race person, right? Mm-hmm. You're like me, right? Like you're a mixed race person.
Yeah.
And then as you referred to it, like you don't present as a phenotypical.
That's right. No.
So that just means like you don't have like brown skin.
No, I look like an Irishman.
Kind of like you say that, but not. I don't really think so. I come straight out of. I come out of people that look straight Irish, man. I think that you would probably. I would probably describe you as like ethnically ambiguous, and then, if you told me what your ethnic background was, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I recognize that now,
yeah,
right. And then that was like something when we went to the cultural center today, mm-hmm. man. Like most of the folks that we ran into that are Chickasaw, these like I'm much darker than they are.
Right.
And
it runs the gamut. Because this is thing people fail to realize that while there is a component of race, there's a component of ancestry and descendancy. Our status as indigenous nations is wholly political. All this shenanigans, there's court cases right now basically saying that the way that we interact, our place, like deriving from the Constitution in this political sphere, that is the United States and the indigenous nations, that it's somehow like race-based. But it's not. Because we have Chickasaws that are black Chickasaws, white Chickasaws. We have people that don't have any blood quantum listed on their certificate.
You were telling me about a dude today that's like, he's originally from Korea, but he was adopted by Chickasaw people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
But he's married to a citizen of our nation. He's a real great guy, incredible artist.
Has some of his work there at the Cultural Center.
So culturally speaking, he grew up in a Chickasaw community. He lives in a Chickasaw community. He's married into a traditional family. He was an adoptee from Korea. Well, who cares? He has a statue at the Cultural Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met a Chinese Chickasaw in Washington, D.C. I mean, we have people of all sorts of racial commutations or whatever that are legally citizens of our nation. And because it's political, that also excludes people that may have ancestry, but their ancestors, for whatever reason, a variety of different reasons, are not on that base roll, which means without a constitutional amendment, a change to the way that the Chickasaw people have decided to conduct our affairs, they are not able to be citizens.
And so, like, and an example of that you gave me was like, I guess there's so much stuff to explain. So,
it's a lot.
So you referenced this early in our conversation, but like the idea of the 5 civilized tribes, right? So, in the shorthand I'd always heard about the 5 civilized tribes is they were civilized because they owned black slaves, right? That's not. I'm just saying that's a shorthand that I've heard before, right? Yeah. But there was, so there were Indians that owned black slaves.
That's correct.
Some people might not know that there were actually black people that owned black people in America. Right. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And then the Chickasaws sided with the Confederacy during the Civil War.
That's correct.
And so then there's this. After the conclusion of the Civil War, there's kind of this, there's just like, well, what do we do with all these people that were within the Chickasaw purview, but now can no longer be owned as property? And like that, you were telling me like that's kind of the precursor to like a Black Wall Street. Like, and people have been hearing about that a lot lately, but these black communities in Oklahoma that, economically and culturally and socially were like kind of powerhouses. Yes. And then in the early part of the 20th century, when lynchings and stuff were really crazy and these race riots got just wild, like some of those places were just completely and utterly destroyed.
Yeah, that's right. So many of the historical black communities in Oklahoma, and some even prior to statehood, were composed of tribal freedmen of different, Creek and Seminole and Cherokee and Chickasaw and Choctaw and so forth. And many of them made their way up to Tulsa. And so most of the people that were systematically targeted and firebombed by the white populace at that time were Chickasaw, Choctaw, Cherokee, freedmen.
Yeah, like maybe like one generation out of that even. Right. Or came.
So, you're looking at people that were freed following the Emancipation Proclamation. That news came relatively late to the Indian Territory. Some of them formed, like I said, they're historically black towns, some of which are still in existence. And then things, people move as people are wont to do. Different economic opportunities were available in like Oklahoma City, for example, or Tulsa that maybe weren't available in 1920 in Ada, Oklahoma, especially for people of color. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I'm kind of trying to just delve into this, one, it's interesting. It's also, I don't think it's common knowledge. Like I consider myself a fairly informed American citizen, and there's just like so much of this that that isn't common knowledge, right? And then to even think that, I'm 2.5 hours from the Oklahoma border. Pretty much as soon as you cross into Oklahoma from Arkansas, right, you're hitting reservations, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, but like I've got very limited understanding of how all this works, how it all came to be. Like I'm familiar with so like down the street from my house there's like this and it seems woefully inadequate, but there's this like Trail of Tears park.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's just like down the road from my house. It's like connected to the University of Arkansas in Little Rock.
Yeah.
And like, I think lots of people have heard of the Trail of Tears.
Right.
I would think that maybe I'll speak to my experience. I think when I've thought or heard about the Trail of Tears, like I primarily thought of Cherokees. I didn't even think about Choctaws or Chickasaws or Muskogee.
Right.
And then, like I said, then my friend Lydia, when she was like, well, why do you think that there's no like, or there's very little like kind of living legacy of Indians in Arkansas? And she's like, it's the Trail of Tears. And I was like, oh, dude, that makes total sense.
Right.
I mean, like basically you had a bunch of people from Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, Arkansas, got death marched across the state into Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then I guess since we're talking about this, it's worth bringing up that the folks that would have been in Arkansas would have been like the Quapaw, the Osage, the Caddo. And then also there was like this, it was kind of like this intermingling point too, right? Because as I understand, I mean, you had people kind of moving. The Mississippi was kind of, it's a line, but like our line's ever really hard between people, right?
Right.
So it's not like no Chickasaw people ever crossed across the Mississippi, right?
Oh, no. I mean, we have documentation like Chickasaws were regularly going into Arkansas to like trade for bodark. There were tribes that were known to supply like excellent wood for bows and stuff like that. And frankly, a lot of traditional enemies, along the Mississippi River, including the Osage. We used to fight with them on the regular, all the way down to little tribes near like New Orleans and stuff. And then way up like Great Lakes folks, like the Miamias and so forth.
Really, that far up? Huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, we looked at that map, that 1723 Hyde map. It literally encompasses, Texas, all the way up to the Great Lakes, all the way over to the East Coast, and then down into Florida. That was the world that our ancestors knew.
I guess you're right. Yeah, man. It was about half of the U.S.
Yeah.
And that's that map was cool. So you showed it to me first, like a modern analog of it. It was like carved into glass.
Right.
So this Chickasaw Cultural Center is like, this is a very, very modern, it's just like kind of like if you went to an art museum or a history museum or something, like anywhere, it's like a big, modern, fancy place, really well put together, kind of, man, it was actually really interesting, specifically in the fact that you aren't displaying what's different, and this is kind of an awkward segue, but what I've been struck by, like talking to you, some conversations I've heard on other podcasts with Indian folks, and I think it might be something that's hard for, just kind of Western thinking people, is like there's a very different consideration of not just like what's important, what's sacred, but the interaction that you have with the world around you, kind of like these different layers in the world. And that's all to say that like you guys aren't displaying actual artifacts from like dig sites in there. You were talking about, you have you have reproductions
Right.
of some of the pottery and some of the like projectile points and stuff like that. But you don't, and now you have some of these things in protected places, but you don't, something that came from like a burial site, you would not,
Right.
It would be like a desecration
Right.
to display that.
So there's a lot of there was a lot of archaeological activity in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when Tupelo, Mississippi, which is the core of our homeland, was being developed. And on any given home site, people have to do something to get rid of their trash. So there's these pits called okakinafa. It means it falls in that place. And so they would do these borrow pits to get clay to, our ancestors would daub the walls of their homes with this clay. And they would dump all of their trash into these pits. So if we have, proven diagnostically this is a trash pit, and we find a piece of broken pottery or an arrowhead or whatever, we're perfectly okay with displaying that, because it's sort of evidence of our ancestors, it's like relatives in a way. But anything known associated with a grave good, or even types of things that perhaps weren't associated with a grave, but they tend to be, we always err, on the side of caution, because, ancestrally, when an ancestor was put in the ground, like that's where they were intended to be. They were buried with all of the things that mattered to them in this life to go to the next life. And so when you disrupt a grave of a Chickasaw person, for traditional people, the idea is that you've disrupted sort of that eternal rest of that ancestor. And furthermore, when grave robbers come in and eat, let's say they leave the bones of an ancestor, but they take the assorted items that were interred with that person's physical and spiritual essence is in a way imbued within those objects. So we treat a grave good just like we would treat, a piece of mandible or a finger bone, because they're all our ancestors. You wouldn't put your dead granny on display. We don't do it either.
And that's worth bringing up too, because that's something that has been normalized in Western archaeology or study of history, and beyond just the grave goods, right? Mm-hmm. Like the idea that you would take a piece of a skeleton, right, or an entire skeleton, or like when I grew up in St. Louis, there's a sarcophagus at the art museum, and I remember like you'd always go down there, you'd press a button, and it would like show you an X-ray of it, because it like the body was still in there, right?
Right.
And it's a strange relationship, because I think in kind of a Western academia, after a certain amount of time has passed, or enough othering of whoever that person was,
right,
that's kind of fair game. But like the way you're describing stuff, or even the way that you're referring to like grannies or aunts or any of that stuff, it's not this linear Western way of thinking. Like you're talking about grannies. You said like my granny did this, but you're like, that could be my grandma, my great grandma, my great 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 grandma. Yeah. You're like, we don't do this second, third cousin once removed, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what it really was doing for me is, I feel like we've all heard this stuff, right? And it's I'll just speak for myself. I think I've always, not meaning to, but I've thought of it as like, well, isn't that a trite way for someone to look at the world? You know what I mean? Isn't that a less informed way to look at the world? And And that's like me thinking I'm like a pretty forward thinking person, right? But
Yeah.
listening to you talk about this, and that's what is so fascinating about realizing that I was relegating Indian people to this kind of place in the past without realizing it.
Yeah.
Is like your considerations of that in modernity. It kind of takes the triteness out of my consideration of it. And I was like, oh, this isn't just like a simpler people in a simpler time thinking something because they didn't have modern day science. It's a completely different way of interpreting the world.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not your experience is not different, I would say, from the majority of American people who believe that Indian folks are either something in the past, some great lost culture or something, or alternatively, we're all reservation bound, living in poverty, alcoholics, uneducated, stuff like that. And of course, both of those extremes, it's brown folks. They don't think of a black Indian. They don't think of a white Indian.
Yeah.
Unless you're with those folks. And so, ignorance is not a sin. It's just a thing, and we just have to be open to learning.
Yeah, man, but good Lord, man, think about how screwed up is it that, and I can't remember, I was told not that long ago, but I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of different tribal affiliations across what is now the United States, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how crazy, like I'm 39 years old and I've basically lived the majority of my life without substantive contact.
Yeah. Well, but think of where you come up.
Yeah.
You come up in St. Louis, there are tribal lands in Missouri.
Yeah.
But not near you, right? I think
they're pretty small, right?
Right. And I think there may be, we don't have any, so I'm trying to talk out of school, but there may be some tribal lands in Arkansas, but I'm not aware, just off the top of my head. So yeah, I mean, like our presence is just this conspicuous absence, names that people don't even know what they mean anymore. Like I said, like our ancestors are still there, but they're at rest underneath the parking lot of a Dollar General, and our names are on the landscape, but we're not there unless we go back. And that's one of the primary reasons why I think that we have this long-term ongoing relationship with the homelands and the people that live in the homelands, because even though we're not in that place anymore, our ancestors are there, and it's our obligation to take care of them. And that's why we have so much activity going on in the traditional homelands, which is, Kentucky, parts of Tennessee, northeastern Mississippi, and northwestern Alabama. We have folks that work for us full-time located in that old country that are looking after our historic sites and the bodies of our ancestors. Because that's what you do for relatives. You know what I mean? Like it's this sort of linear Western thing that, like, Granddad lived, he's dead. I'm now here, I'm going to have some kids, and we're just marching on towards whatever, inexorable greatness. It don't work that way. It's a big old circle. I'm just as much a part of my great-great-great-great-great-great-granny as my descendants will be in 10 generations. They're all here with us all the time. All the time. And when we live together and treat each other right and follow, the customary sort of laws, the things that we were taught to do, the traditions, and speak our language, everyone, they live again. They're with us all the time. And that's a real challenging thing for the Western mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it's a drastically different consideration.
Yeah. And I say this as someone who was raised off reservation, knew I was a Chickasaw, super proud as a kid, but our cultural identity and our language had been stripped by boarding schools. forced English education for American Indian folks. So this is just stuff I've learned over the last 20-something years, hanging out with old folks, learning to talk.
Man, that's good. That's a good segue. Let's go back. Let's talk about the language work.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, man, what's one of the most central things to a people, right? Is their language.
Right.
Dialect, right? And to think that there's all these languages. I mean, would it be fair to say that most of the languages spoken by indigenous people in this country are gone?
Well, it's fair to say that most of the original inhabitants and their descendants, most of their descendants don't exist because they were dead. So there's 500 some odd tribes now. There are a large number of tribes that have no living language. There's some tribes that don't even have a record of their languages anymore. But, for us, old folks taught us that, like, the creator, Ababanili, means the one that sits above. Like, creator made us as unique and distinct people, and the creator gave us these specific languages in order to communicate with one another and with our ancestors and with, the deities that lived in the sky. That was the whole idea, and the spirits here on the ground. So when you think about what is the thing that makes us separate and wholly different, apart, and unique from other people that are related to us? What makes a Chickasaw and not a Choctaw? What makes a Choctaw and not a Creek? And that's the languages. Now they say Muskogee. You'll have to forgive me. So Muskogee, that's how they say their language. But it's language. Language is what separates us. Like, Chickasaw and Choctaw are real close, but they're not the same. I open my mouth and try to talk Choctaw to a Choctaw person. They're like, man, you sound like a Chickasaw. Well, yeah, it's because I am. Like, I can read and understand Choctaw, but when I try to speak it, it just comes out silly. So that's what makes us, truly Chickasaw. And the thing that's so beautiful about the language is that everything that you need or would want to know is contained in it. So, like, if you want to be connected, like you want to be with the traditional community, you want to learn what it means to be Chickasaw through their eyes, you want to participate in Indian church, you want to go stomp ground and visit other people, the language, everything comes with the language. How you're supposed to live, how you treat people, what do we believe in, what are the foods, what are the ways, everything is in that language. So if people take on that obligation of the language, they become better, more full, happy, healthy, productive Chickasaws, because that language is, it's medicine. It's not a joke. It's powerful. It changed your life. It changed my life. I never thought as a little boy I would get to hang out with 87-year-olds and talk Chickasaw all day. It's bonkers.
So you said there's like 30, 35 or so?
Yeah. We have 75, 77, some odd thousand citizens. We have a couple of hundred people that linguists would call passive bilinguals, meaning they can understand, they can contribute in some ways because they were, in most cases, fluent as children before they went to school. But in terms of, like, first language speakers born into the world in a Chickasaw household that talk Chickasaw, there's less than 35 left right now. The oldest are in their 90s, and the youngest are pushing 65, 70.
Are there any kids born today that their first language is Chickasaw?
There's one little girl. Her name's Hatufbushik, which means butterfly. She lives here in Ada, and her mom and her dad are raising her. They're homeschooling her. She's 4. And all she talks is Chickasaw.
Really? She doesn't speak English at all? Really?
Yeah. She's fluent like any 4-year-old little girl would be fluent. Her mama and her came visit me in my office, and I gave her this little teeny wooden duck. I hadn't made it. I just had an extra one. I was like, oh, she'll love this. She's a little kid. So she's playing with a duck, and I'm talking to her in Chickasaw, and this and that. And she's a kid. She's like, man, this guy's boring. I'm out of here. So she says to me in Chickasaw, the duck wants to go. Bye. And she walks out my office carrying the duck. It's pretty cool. You want some motivation, you talk Chickasaw to a 4-year-old kid, and you're like, yes, that's what we want. That's what we want.
So, man, tell the folks that are listening, explain exactly like what your work is, because you're saying like you sit around and talk to old people and listen to Chickasaw all day.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, you told me you were like born in Memphis.
Right.
You were living in Texas.
Yep.
You are fluent in Chickasaw, which puts you in the minority of people on the planet.
Yeah.
But you learned that as an adult.
That's correct.
And then your work is geared towards other Chickasaw people learning the language and having it be a part of their lives.
So when the language left our homes as a natural, medium of exchange, it's like everyday communication. It only took one generation. All it takes is one kid who's pulled out and forced to go to English-only boarding school, and they lose that language. In many cases, our grandparents, great-grandparents, or parents, they made a conscious choice because they had suffered so greatly because of their language, racial prejudice, and so forth. They also realized that, the language of economic power was English, and they would tell their kids and grandkids, this is a white man's world. If you want to be successful, you need to speak English. And so it became a language of the elders. It was a secret language. It was a way that they could talk where the kids wouldn't know what they were saying. So it's, survival, in some instances. It was also an act of love. You love your child so much. You don't want them to go through what you went through. So you don't pass it along. So really what we're doing is we simply picked up the work that native speakers began in the mid-20th century. Really, with the beginning, there's this sort of alignment of our cultural revival, in a way, and our political renaissance. It's the same people. Traditional Chickasaw churches, speakers, wanting to be self-determined. We want to elect our own governor. They're noticing 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Man, these young folks don't talk Chickasaw. Like, what's going on? So Mr. and Mrs. Humes create the first dictionary in 1971, first Chickasaw dictionary. Then you get people that are doing community language classes, also native speakers like Geraldine Greenwood or Yvonne Alberson. They're doing that teaching. Then in the 90s, we established cultural resources. Native speakers are doing that work again. So we just sort of picked up in 2007. And what we're trying to do is continue their language work and connect these missing generations. So the big picture is we want to create newly fluent young people who will then have children and talk that language to their kids in the home. And so that we can reintroduce it as a natural, household language. Whereas, that's very natural as opposed to the revitalization stuff that we do, which is super unnatural. Like you shouldn't have to prop up like the most precious aspect of your culture. You know what I mean? It should be in everyone's hearts and on everyone's lips, but that's just not how it is. So what we do today, we have sort of two aspects to the program. We have the whole thing is the revitalization program, language preservation, and then Chickasaw language revitalization program underneath that. We aim to create a new generation of fluent speakers to do what we've been talking about. We also aim to make sure that every Chickasaw, regardless of where they live in the world, has access to like high quality language learning materials. And we then encourage citizens to pick that up in whatever way feels meaningful for them. I'm not sitting over here saying like, oh, you got to be a fluent speaker or you're not a real Chickasaw. I don't think so. If you want to say hello,
I mean, you're talking about like the coloring books you like got for my kid, like a coloring book or like the flashcards.
Yeah.
Like it can be that level of familiarity all the way up to one, maybe, hopefully one day having like a PhD. Or you were talking about having like the goal being like a K through 12 school that is in Chickasaw.
That's right.
And so then like English would be a subject.
That's correct.
That a kid takes in school, but they're learning English from the perspective of a Chickasaw person.
Yeah. It's commonly done that way. Like the Maori do that, the Hawaiians do that. They don't introduce English as subject until much later, like junior high. But I mean, that's the goal. Like you to do language revitalization work, you have to fundamentally be positivist. Like you have to believe that this is possible. You have to believe that we can put in the effort to bring this language back, into the natural home environment that it was supposed to be in. But we also don't want to leave out folks that just want to learn how to say hello or want to play like, Uno in Chickasaw.
Yeah.
This is not, there ain't no heavy pressure here. This is everyone's birthright, their cultural heritage, a gift from the Creator. And we just want to make it as open as possible so that whatever that means to you, you're going to have something. You want to pray in language, you want to introduce yourself, you want to name your kid, you want to be a full-on fluent speaker and talk all day with no English. You can do that, with our help.
So how many folks do you have now that you would consider fluent or fairly fluent in Chickasaw?
Well, we have 8 people in the Chickasaw Academy Adult Immersion Program. And then we also have previous graduates from a Master Apprentice program or similar. So I would say, over, maybe 20, 25, 30 people that have the ability to hold a basic conversation. And it may be bigger than that. But in terms of like people that can hang with an elder that aren't first language speakers, there's like 2 or 3 of us.
I mean, and you're probably, if you're talking about these folks that were native speakers,
right?
I mean, 10 years? Most of them are probably going to be gone, or a big chunk of them will be gone.
Yeah,
you're dealing with 80-year-old people.
Yeah. Some of our folks are really long-lived. They live to be 100, 110. You never know. That's my daily prayer to the Creator. Please let these folks live to be much, much older. But yeah, 10 to 20 years. That's a sad but sort of realistic possibility.
But I guess if in 20 years that was to happen, you'd have a 24-year-old native speaker, right? At least one. This idea. Little girl who's grown up in it.
Yeah, that's the idea. So as a part of that revitalization effort, it's not just public education. It's not just like cool language giveaways. It's not just the immersion program, but we're documenting heavily this last generation of people that grew up with it as a first language. So, we have a dedicated team of linguists on staff, and that's literally all they do is bring speakers in 2, 3, 4 times a week. They have conversations with one another. They tell traditional narratives. They translate new terms into the language. We just have archive on archive on archive, thousands of hours of these first language speakers doing what they do best, which is talk Chickasaw.
And that's available to Chickasaw people that want to immerse themselves in it?
Yeah, so you imagine this huge archive. There's obviously an issue of accessibility. They need to be edited, transcribed, and then put into learning products. So an example would be a traditional narrative that Pauline Brown told on 3 occasions about a woman who ate some eggs and transformed into a serpent. The moral is don't eat stuff that you don't know what's up, because you'll turn, maybe you could turn into a snake or whatever. So we have that audio. We chose the best audio. We turned that into a learner-focused narrative. So we sort of simplified her grammar And then we animated that video, and it's going to be a part of our Rosetta Stone product. We have we're having, this year it'll be the 4th level, 160 video-based lessons in partnership with Rosetta Stone.
Oh, like actually with Rosetta Stone?
Literally, yeah. Free to any tribal citizen and anyone in their household, regardless of their enrollment status, worldwide. Right now, we have something like 9,000 users of Rosetta Stone Chickasaw. We're the first Native nation that did this custom video-based approach. Not the first to have a Rosetta Stone product, but the first that said, no, we need like full-on like actor videos. So we created 160, moments of like, it's like Chickasaw television. This little family living in this world where they all talk Chickasaw to one another, and you learn through their life experiences and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. 8,000 people, it's a big deal. Our target goal was 10% of the tribal population, and we exceeded that, a couple of years ago.
I mean,
it's
cool. I mean, you're working with the times too.
Yeah.
Like if you had all this information and it was just in like a textbook, folks wouldn't consume it.
Right.
So
we're doing things like in the next year, we'll stand up an electronic database that has, audio, video, text. Any tribal citizen can get an account and access all that stuff. You want to download a recording of your granny? You make the request, we send it to you. Stuff like that. This is again in service to this access initiative. We have to make sure, it's our obligation to make sure that all of this stuff is available for Chickasaw people worldwide, regardless again of where they live. So that's one. There's just so many people. I mean, language revitalization is probably unknown, just wholly unknown to most people, in America. They don't even think about that kind of stuff. It's big and broad and complicated, and it's wonderful work. It's also incredibly sad. You make friends with these folks. All your best friends are like in their 80s, and they die on you. But it's good work. It's good work. And, they gave 20 some odd years of their lives to me. I'm going to continue to do this work until I'm the age that they are. Then I'll kick off and watch from above.
Yeah, that's super fascinating, man. It's
more than a job.
It's got to be
calling.
It's got to be empowering.
It's a mission
on a level. Yeah, man. I mean, you're, and it's not just preservation either, right? Like the word you're using is revitalization.
Oh yeah, no, our language is not a scientific specimen, nor is it a pickle. Like there's a preservation aspect to it. Like we're caretaking this beautiful thing, but we're not hoarding it. We want it to grow and blossom and go nuts and just expand in every way that it can, because language can really, like I said earlier, transform people's lives. It has significant effects on people's emotional health, general well-being, all across Indian country. Kids that are connected to their traditional culture, language, history, and so forth are much less likely to attempt suicide. It's a real thing, it's a real thing. And suicide is epidemic in Indian country, because people feel, especially youth, feel disconnected. They don't know where their place is. They've been divorced from their culture, their family, or whatever the case may be. And language is one of those things that is truly powerful and healing. And so it's really shot through almost any aspect of tribal life you can think about, from the bathroom signs, all the way up to Rosetta Stone, all of the prayers that are offered at public events. Our governor, Bill Anoatubby, is a tireless advocate for the language. He always supports us and gives us what we need when we ask for it. And that is not the case in other Native nations. we're using our economic power to bring people back to who they can be as Chickasaws in this case.
What I would argue that, so like language, obviously, and a vitally culturally important touchstone. Yeah. I would say, for me, food serves that purpose as well.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So when we were at the cultural center today, right? You had you walk in there, you got some folks set up, right? They had some crock pots going.
Yeah.
And they were and seemed pleased to do it too, like to dish it out, right?
Yeah.
You mind describing like what we ate and?
Yeah. So our national dish is called pishofa. It's a shortened form of tanche pishofa, which means scraped corn. So when the corn is dry, you scrape it from the cob. Traditionally, it would be cracked in these big sort of mortise and pestle kind of things.
Mortar and pestle.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I know what it's called in Chickasaw, but I can't say it in English. Anyway, so crack this corn up. You treat it, slip the skins, boil it with some protein. It used to be deer or bear or whatever, and now it's pork. So we had some pishofa. It's kind of like hominy with pork in it for
that's
for
what
your
I'd
listeners.
Say. Yeah.
And then we had punki asfula or punkasfula. It means grape dumplings, traditionally made with wild grapes, and dumplings made from corn flour. Now we make it with white and rich flour or whatever that we got, and then you boil down Welch's grape juice. It's sort of like I don't know. Like if the top of your cobbler fell in to the sweet juice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
floating
that's a good
around.
description. Yeah.
There are still people that collect these wild grapes. They're called punky and misat, and it has a really different kind of vibe. It's not as sort of cloyingly sweet as those Concord grapes are. It's really good, really good.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that, man. That'd be a dish I'd want to try. In a more traditional way. I mean, because like you're talking about muscadines, basically, right? I mean, that's what we call them where I live.
Yeah.
I think like up north they call them like supper nogs or something. Mm-hmm. You heard that?
We call in English they're like possum grapes.
Yeah.
Is what they call them in English, but yeah.
Okay.
Punky is our word for it. Punky.
Yeah, man. I would and I think too, if those dumplings were made out of corn, texturally they'd be a little more robust. And then I think the grape juice would have some more layers to it, right?
Yeah.
Because that was like grape juice concentrate, man. Like,
oh yeah, it's literally boiled down Welch's grape juice with some cornstarch in it.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting. That'd be something interesting to try, man.
It's one thing, people don't think of Southern cuisine as really oftentimes deriving from Indian cuisine.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
That's literally, that's what it is. I mean, think about it. Even like soul food. Man, you put that stuff on any Chickasaw table and it's going to get eaten because it comes so often from the same sort of origins,
you know what,
right?
actually, if you think so, I mean, as far as reference to that, that's like one of the things. That interaction between European food styles and preferences and black cooks, right? Like enslaved black cooks, and then indigenous ingredients.
Yeah. Barbecue.
Barbecue.
American Indian innovation mastered by barbecue
slaves,
chefs, right? Whole hog barbecue.
Yep, totally.
North Carolina. I mean, that's full on Indian into black folks.
Shit, I mean, gumbo, if you think about, I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but if you ever come to like Black Duck Revival or listen to me talk about like food and stuff, a lot of times I do these like gumbo kind of lectures, right?
Yeah.
And so you talk about the difference between what most people think of as gumbo is like a Cajun gumbo, right? Which is like this chicken andouille sausage gumbo, right? Which is good. I mean, I'm into it.
Yeah, that's good.
But you really kind of have like in Louisiana anyway, because there's different kind of gumbo like in the Low Country, but you got like Cajun gumbo and you got Creole gumbo, right? Mm-hmm. Cajun gumbo, you're dealing with, they're making roux out of traditionally they're making roux out of rendered bear fat, right?
Yeah,
which would absolutely be an indigenous ingredient.
Totally.
Right? You get into Creole gumbos, which are, would be similar, but then they would oftentimes have the inclusion of tomato and okra, which are going to be old world ingredients, right?
Yeah.
But then thickened, instead of being thickened with that roux, they're going to be thickened oftentimes with filet powder, which is an indigenous ingredient. That's the dried powdered leaves of a sassafras tree, right? And we were like, at the cultural center today, man, you were showing me like different medicines.
Yeah.
And medicine meaning...
herbal plant medicines.
Yes.
Well, and check this out. Our word for okra is kombo, which is a borrowing of, I think it's a Yoruba word.
Sure. That makes sense.
Which is basically the same word.
Yeah.
For okra.
I mean, gumbo.
Gumbo, kombo.
Can be traced back to as I understand it, can be... that word, that idea can be traced back to like West Africa.
That's right. Yeah.
But
yeah,
no, dude, you're totally right on that. I want, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I'm trying to think about other indigenous ingredients. Like I'm sure like sarsaparilla or
so
stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sort of reaching like to connect with the audience. Like maybe they think of it as American food, but it's actually Indian food. They just never thought about it, right? So like sassafras tea, that's a traditional medicine. It's used to treat high blood pressure and some other things.
Echinacea.
Yeah. Coneflower, echinacea, super significant medicine plant. Rattlesnake master, which is a related medicine. Hatuk, which is red root. It's a kind of a prairie willow. And then beyond that, just food, like all the different varieties of corn, beans, squash, wild plants like poke salad, lamb's quarters, wild onions, all the animals like bear, deer, waterfowl, alligator, raccoons. I don't know many people that eat raccoons, but
I eat raccoons.
In the old days. If I killed a raccoon, I would eat it, but I never killed a raccoon.
That
stuff. It's just
Side
it's
note,
Indian
man.
food. It's Southern food. It's black food. It's all that food.
Yeah.
It's American food.
Raccoons have a bear-ish quality to them. Yeah. I would argue that the black bears I've eaten, I'd say every black bear I've eaten tastes better than every raccoon I've eaten.
Yeah. My some of my close friends, and in fact my boss, are members of the raccoon clan, so they would not imbibe, but I could if I wanted to. You're not supposed to kill your clan animal nor eat it.
Yeah, you're Panther clan.
That's right. Yeah, Panther clan. Koeshto Iksa, and then our house group is Imatapo, which means like they're lean-to people, like a temporary shelter built by hunters out in the woods. Today it also means tent, but originally it meant a lean-to. So tent people or lean-to people. That's our house group.
Are there any other foods that you? I don't mean like food stuffs. I mean like actual dishes that are like super meaningful to you as a Chickasaw person.
Yeah. So we talked about pishofa. There's a dish called banaha, which is basically like a tamale without meat. Sometimes people will add like black-eyed peas to it or other kinds of beans, and you eat it with rendered fat of some sort, generally pork fat. You just pour it over this, hunk of boiled cornmeal. So it's like a fatty little delicious cornmeal cake. I mean, it's made just like a tamale. Like you take, the corn husks, wrap it up, tie it, boil it, and then eat it with fat. That's called banaha. That's Chickasaw and Choctaw. We also make this thing called tomfala. In English, they call it tomfuller, and that's a fermented. It's like fermented pishofa corn. With nuts, it's called osak tomfala. By itself, it's just called tomfala, but it's cooked with lye that we make from blackjack oak, and then you just let it sort of do its thing for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever, you're into. Seminoles and Creeks call it sofki. It's just really funky, slightly rotten corn, and it's really good. I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of old recipes like, persimmon, like dried persimmons. We call those onkof. It's almost like a fruit leather thing that you can make.
Really,
dried
man?
Beef.
I talked about making persimmon fruit leather on my last podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'll eat them off the tree, but man, I am not about to de-seed them and try to make fruit leather. You know how many persimmons it would take to make anything sizable? It'd be a bunch.
It would be so like. We're talking about like persimmons that are native to North America. They're small. They're like golf ball size. They're not like those Fujis that you get. Like they're like baseball size or softball size.
Not Asian. Yeah, not Asian persimmons.
You know what you do, man? Though is you just run it through you just run them through a pulper. So it's like this.
That makes sense.
Kind of looks like a meat grinder thing.
Yeah.
And then it would just all the skins and the seeds and stuff. It would filter out, and then you would just get this pulp that you would like scrape off.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because a wild persimmon's like 50% seed.
Yeah, but man, it's good. It's so good. To me, it tastes like a Werther's Original.
Really?
I don't know why. There's just something about it. It's buttery.
Kind of orangey. I mean, I feel like they have kind of a citrus adjacent taste to them.
Yeah.
They're interesting though, man, because they're foul until they're soft and squishy.
Yeah.
They're like super tannic.
Yep.
And
our word is tugba. It means it's when you if you eat one, your mouth just like puckers up.
Yeah, it gives you that bitter beer face.
Yeah, it's truly terrible. But when they're at their best, it's almost as if they're rotten. They're soft.
Yeah.
Even sometimes they're not even on the tree. Just pick them up off the ground. There's a bunch out at this spot we're going to hunt tomorrow, so we'll be eating persimmons when we're duck hunting.
It's a challenge. Actually, it's kind of a challenging fruit for me because I'm not really crazy about them until they've been processed.
Just the seediness of it's sort of annoying. Or maybe you don't like the skin. And the skin can be kind of different.
I think if you like pulp them up and then you make a chutney or you make a glaze or you like bake them into like a spice cake, like banana bread style or something.
Sure.
It just, for me, man, it's just like a more palatable thing.
I got you.
They're,
yeah, I love them. I'm trying to think what else.
Pawpaws. You have a tradition of that?
So pawpaw is a traditional Chickasaw food.
Mm-hmm.
Its name is wapachali, which means when it is ripe, it sort of it bursts open.
Yeah.
So that's a traditional. I mean, all across the Southeast, that's a big, it's a big deal for Indian folks. All of our languages have a word for it. We have there's this really great recipe book from 1963 or something. This lady named Adeline Brown made it, and she has a recipe for singed squirrel. You fry a young squirrel and you burn the hair off like a hog, an old squirrel, and turn it into squirrel dumplings or something like that. She has a recipe for it's called parched turtle. The recipe calls for 1 turtle and salt. You throw the turtle into the fire until it dies and is done. You crack it open and eat it with salt. It's
that's intense, dog.
You ain't kidding. It's something else. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Any of the listeners that are interested can email me at my work email, joshua.hinson@chickasaw.net. Now, I'll send you a link to the recipe book. Adeline Brown, she was OG, first language speaker, super cool lady. Really, really good speaker. Yeah.
Dude, that singed squirrel recipe sounds rough, man.
Oh, no, man. I'm telling you, it's pork-like. That skin.
That burnt hair odoriferousness doesn't impregnate the skin?
Maybe it does, but I like it. Me and one of my language teachers, the late Jerry Imatachi, we're both passionately committed to eating squirrels. And his favorite way and my favorite way, singe them, quarter them, turn them into squirrel dumplings. Fried is fine, but that's like entry level stuff.
Are you frying it skin, like remove the skin and then fry it?
Young squirrel, we skin them and then just fry the meat. Not messing with the skin. Old squirrels.
You're not talking about breading. You're just talking about like frying the meat in fat.
Yeah. I mean, you can bread it if you want to.
Sure. Okay.
I use cornmeal and a little bit of flour. It's nothing serious, and salt. It's pretty boring, but man, I love it. Or even squirrel brains. You know, if you get a mess of squirrels and you skin the heads and then bake them in the oven, crack open the cavity, eat it on toast or whatever, it's really good. And raw squirrel brains is really good for babies when they're teething. You just rub it on their gums and all their pain will go away. It's the thing.
Dude, this is intense, man.
Don't let your wife eat squirrel or rabbit, though, because the babies can come out with big old eyes. That's some old school Chickasaw knowledge.
You know, my grandma ate she ate scrambled pig brains.
Oh, my daddy loved pig brains and eggs.
Yeah, that's what my nanny ate.
Yeah.
And like, you know, squirrel brains is a thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, old throughout the South thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's intense though, man. I might not be joining you on that journey.
It's fair to say that it's a minority of people that are willing to nosh on a squirrel's brain.
I'll be honest with you, man. When you're like, man, we're gonna eat some Indian food when we get here. I did in my head. I was like, dude, I hope this doesn't get too wild because I want to be respectful and eat whatever it is. But I hope this isn't.
No, man.
then when it was grape juice, I was like, oh, I can handle this, man.
I'm down. I mean, seriously, like we have like salsicona is a traditional intestine soup. It can be a soup or it can be fried, kind of like chitlins. Mm-hmm. That's pretty challenging. Tomfala, you know, if you're not into like funky, like mildly alcoholic, rotten corn stuff, that's maybe not for everybody. But most Indian food is bomb. I mean, who doesn't like fried bread? You go to any indigenous people that have been colonized throughout this entire planet, they're going to have some kind of fried bread. Is it bad for you? Yeah. But do we eat it anyway? Oh, yeah.
But that's like only been around for like 200 years, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Flour, all flour, traditionally was corn. You know, we didn't get wheat until much, much later, or sugar for that matter, or even salt. You know, our ancestors used to process their own salt and honey, you know, for sugar, that kind of stuff.
Man, okay, so that's actually a question that I did have when we were eating at the Cultural Center today is because you were like, this is traditionally cooked without salt and you salt it to taste.
Yeah.
But so I guess like, I mean, you know, and maybe that, I'm just thinking out loud here, it would make sense to me that maybe like this region would maybe have like kind of some limited spices, but any people who are interacting with folks from like Central and South America and those trade networks would have like chilies and like I'm thinking especially like in the Southwest and stuff. But like seasoning wise, a little more limited for the Southeastern tribes.
Yeah. So I mean, when you talk about traditional foods, I mean, people will riff and do whatever they want, but you're really talking about just salt. That's it. I mean, salt and pepper, like everyone uses that, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't really get, like, in terms of Southeastern Indian cuisine, unless you're going down to, like, the Quasadis or the Homas, you know, in Louisiana, and you get that sort of beautiful, like, you know, sort of mix up of, like, Indian food and Cajun food. It's like, you know, Indian and Cajun had a baby. You know, it can get pretty spicy, but no, you know, Southeastern food, in particular, Chickasaw, Choctaw food is not particularly, you know, just maybe a little salt. It's pretty basic, but it's good. Salt meat's one. Salt meat's real popular. You know, just we'll buy it, get it cut up. You wash it a little bit to get some of that salt off and then fry it. Hog fries are a big deal. Fresh hog fry, you know, you slaughter a hog and they'll cook it. That's a big deal. Wild onion dinners are huge. All the Indian churches and a bunch of our traditional ceremonial grounds will have wild onion dinners in the spring. and people will like make the rounds. Like they have a calendar. Today I'm going here. Next week I'm going there.
You talking about ramps? Or are you
No. Wild onions. Not ramps are related, but that's like more northeast.
Yeah.
So wild onions either cooked with some like with pork fat, by itself, kind of like turnip greens or collards or whatever, or with eggs. That's real popular. I like mine both ways, but eggs in particular. People will like fundraise with this stuff, like $12, all you can eat. Da 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 da. Red beans, fry bread, salt meat, and wild onions. Either way you like them. Oh man, it is
really. It's like a pancake supper or whatever.
Yeah, I love wild onions. It just so happens our seasonal creek out backyard, we've got huge patch of wild onions, so I don't have to go very far in the spring to get what I want.
Hell, man, you were probably dealing with, until the introduction of like European-based commodities, you were probably dealing with incredibly healthy people.
Well, I mean, it's not to say that like life wasn't hard, like you're talking life expectancies like in the 40s and 50s sometimes, maybe later than that, as time moved on. But yeah, I mean, they're incredibly healthy folks because they were eating big when it was available. Mm-hmm. And they eating little when they had to, and they were moving all the time. Working real hard, or just chilling out when there was nothing to do.
Man, that's a weird concept. Like the idea of like feast and famine.
Yep.
And that you would like fill up when there was lots of food around.
Yeah. The Choctaw word for January means big hunger month. We don't really have any documented names. It was a lunar calendar, so 13 months. But yeah, in Choctaw, it's big hunger month because that's, like the stuff that you put up in the fall starts to run
getting low.
Skinny.
Sure. Yeah, man, you're waiting for that spring.
Yeah. And we were talking about like what warriors would eat, limited dried meat and largely this stuff called tunchas pushat, which is it's not a fried, but it's like almost like a corn nut or sometimes it's ground down into a rough cornmeal sort of powder. That and water, like they'd live on that stuff for weeks. And even going into hunts or fighting for that matter, they would ceremonially abstain from most food, salt, sex. You don't do none of that stuff 4 days before you're going out, or sometimes 3 days going out to do anything. Ritual preparation to play stickball, going on a bear hunt, gonna go whoop up some creeks, all the same stuff. You're not eating. And these guys would walk 40, 50, 60 miles, rapidly. It's insane.
That idea of ritualistic fasting is, like kind of worldwide. Mm-hmm. There's got to be something transcendental to it, right?
Like it depends. Every man is free to do what they want, but when sometimes we'll do a New Year's game where it's just men playing stickball. It's kind of like lacrosse, but we use 2 sticks. Anyway, east-west poles play against one another. And so some of those guys will fast 3 days before the event, maybe 4. And some guys will do at least 24 hours. But, it's a nod to those ancient traditions. And on the ceremonial ground, like you fast before green corn. Like you don't eat any fresh produce before green corn. At a certain point, when your grounds chief says, "Hey, no more fresh produce," they have to abstain from those foods until green corn is over. And when they break their fast, they can eat whatever they want.
They have surely it's like a big party after that, right?
Oh yeah, like everyone, it's like the New Year.
Yeah,
people get crazy and eat and do all sorts of awesome stuff. I mean, green corn is like the best. It's the best.
So you kind of alluded to it there, but so let's talk a little bit about what we're going to get into tomorrow.
Yeah.
And your personal association with hunting.
Yeah.
Because it's largely based around waterfowl, which, I mean, we were talking about like traditional Chickasaw hunting methods and stuff, which weren't huge into waterfowl.
Right.
And it definitely was different than like modern North American waterfowling, right? Like you were talking about like folks hunting them during the molt, getting in there at nighttime with torches.
Yeah, clubbing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like a much more effective way of getting a bunch of them.
Yeah, and I think ancestors were there's these huge plants, Indian hemp. I don't know what the scientific name is, but they made netting and cordage and all that. So I mean, any number of things. Plus, our ancestors were incredibly skilled archers. They make they made and still make like small game arrows, blunt arrows that could easily take down a mallard on a pond or something like that.
I'm sure one of those like squirrel sticks, someone
totally
chunked one of those at something.
Right. So ancestral hunting, there's this is probably a little further the topic, but animals were considered relatives. And so you approach them in a particular way. And if you were going to hunt particularly like ceremonially significant species, you would prepare for that. It's like we have records of how a man would prepare for a bear hunt, for example. And so they're hunting bear, deer. There were elk east of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
We talked
a lot.
A lot. Bison were still in the old country in Chickasaw Nation until, I don't know, maybe 18 teens. Maybe a little earlier than that, maybe late 18th century. But anyway, hunting that. And, of course, any number of small game and waterfowl. So when I first started waterfowling, this was like 2015. This is completely outside the lived experience of our elders. They were like, man, we don't hunt ducks. We don't hunt geese, none of that stuff. And so I went to some of our tribal archaeologists, and they were like, well, no, actually, y'all did. Like, we found this kind of bones in the trash pit. There's mallard bones. There's swan bones. We have ethnographic records, like from the French, for example, that describe, how they hunted swans. I mentioned to you earlier, swans are the most ceremonially significant bird for Chickasaw people, and for many of the other tribes in the Southeast, too. We hadn't had access to them since removal. And frankly, market hunting, destroyed swans that used to come down on the Mississippi River. So I went to North Carolina a couple years ago. I shot one swan, which was allowed by permit. And then my friends gifted me feathers from 2 swans. And so we brought that back. And it's being reintroduced in the community. Swan wings at the ceremonial ground to fan the fires. Like people getting married, incorporating swan feathers in that ceremony, hanging them from their rearview mirrors in their cars. It's pretty cool. The language committee, we didn't know the word for swan, but we found this old word list, and we found that the word for swan is olkak, which is an onomatopoeia. They make that oh sound. And they were like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's our word for swan now. And they also rediscovered the word for wild geese, which is hancha, again an onomatopoeia, because they go, huh, as
sure
geese are wont to do. At any rate, there were traditional roles for men that hunted swans. They were so significant. I mean, they were used in naming ceremonies and birth ceremonies, all sorts of different things. Crowns of swan feathers, adorned a warrior's head when he received a new name. They would put down, on the top of his head during the ceremony, stuff like that. The main religious leaders wore capes of swan feathers, just entire capes, like down to their ankles sometimes, composed of swan feathers. So we knew that was happening. Obviously, when you think about like sort of like the big charismatic animals, it's going to be bear and deer and elk and that kind of stuff. But, people are people. Chickasaws are scrappy just like everybody else. And you eat what's available to you. That's just how it was. So the old folks sort of, the elders like kind of figured out like, okay, well, Josh can be hunting ducks. That's okay, I guess. As long as, he like eats them and all that stuff. They don't like sport hunting. So I grew up, my father introduced me to deer hunting, East Texas near Trinity and Huntsville. And then, like maybe like a bycatch of a hunt would be like we shot a turkey or something. We weren't ever serious turkey hunters. So just deer, dove hunting, that kind of stuff. So when we moved back to the reservation, started hunting. And a Creek friend of mine took me, this is in 2015, so long after we had moved back, but he took me duck hunting. We just laid up on his farm pond with like a camo tarp. I think we shot 4 or 5, like a pair of gadwalls, a ring neck, and something else I can't remember. And it was just like the most magical, like, why did I waste 30 some odd years of my life not duck hunting? So since then, I went nuts. I went all in. Getting my own rig, like all the motion decoys, Chinese decoys. Like, I had all that stuff, all the, fancy clothes and all this. And then I started like collecting old decoys and realizing the sort of heritage behind it. And I was like, man, no, I'm going to shoot a side-by-side. I'm going to wear this wax jacket. It feels good. I'm going to start making my own decoys. So I started hunting. My rig is entirely wood now. I don't hunt any plastic decoys from my own rig anyway. And then because I'm an artist and I've been doing, Chickasaw work for decades, I slowly started to like access some of that ancestral wood carving, figurative carvings of birds and humans and that kind of stuff. So now I was trained to make core sound style decoys by Jerry Talton. And so I use those techniques, but I adorn them with imagery from my multi-tribal ancestry. So you got a pintail that has a 1,500-year-old sun symbol on the speculum. And some guys actually hunt those things. It's pretty crazy. So it's like
I didn't realize the duck hunting had only been since 2015, man. Because like I did the same thing. You went deep, man. You got a couple of bird dogs in the backyard.
Yeah,
you got
2 poodle pointers.
Yeah, like kind of esoteric bird dogs, even.
Yeah.
Although my buddy Jay Byer, who I was elk hunting with last January, he's got a poodle pointer too.
They're really cool dogs. But yeah, I mean, I'm
you got a wood shop right here.
Yep, making decoys. I still make working birds, for guys that will actually hunt them. The only difference between like a tribal bird and a working bird is that on a working bird, I might not put tribal designs on. I just paint it like a proper core sound style, real Art Deco, super clean. It's not realistic. I'm not making ducks. I'm making an image of a duck. And ducks, frankly, don't care. If I can kill a duck over, like, bleach bottles painted black, I can kill a duck over.
Have you done that?
Anything.
Have you killed them over bleach bottles?
No, but you could.
Ramsey
Russell was talking about how they kill them in Pakistan. They, like, blow up black trash bags.
I really do wonder about that because, like, you always hear that. You used to be able to kill snow geese just with a bunch of white trash bags, right?
Right.
I wonder. So, say like Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
There can't be just a ton of people duck hunting in Pakistan. I bet you That's true. I bet you they can get away with a lot more because those birds aren't seeing stuff.
Yeah, they're not educated.
Now, I do wonder. With like everybody's got these like photorealistic duck decoys now, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if running a kind of like a more old school spread with basic blockier colors wouldn't actually be an advantage because it would be something different.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't let the ducks key in on, like, I've seen that a million times.
Right. And that's something, if you think about not just core sound, which is coastal North Carolina, like Carteret County and so forth, but if you look at Currituck, you go up and look up into Maryland, simple block painting, high contrast. I think that's what ducks key in on, is that strong distinction between, say, like a black body and a white speculum, or a gray body and a green speculum. Some of the most famous market rig decoys, market hunters.
Sure.
From Tusk, North Carolina. Those things have like white bullseyes painted on the back. Like it's like a red head or a black head. Mm-hmm. All one color, like say a gray body and a big old white target on the back of that thing. And that fella killed so many ducks. It was bonkers.
Might have been using punt guns though too, man.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that. So yeah, the whole like the intersection, like as I mentioned previously, this is not it's not a traditional practice as understood by our elders. They didn't even deer hunt, in the old days, because there were no deer, right, when they were coming up in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Like the numbers were so low. So when you talk about hunting with them, childhood stories of hunting, they're talking about rabbits and squirrels. That's it. Maybe some coons or possums or something like that. So for me, my perspective is I'm a contemporary Chickasaw person, and if I'm doing things, I'm going to do it in a way that respects my ancestors. But I'm here to feed my family, I'm just doing what my ancestors did. I'm just doing it in a new and a different sort of way. So this idea that Chickasaws made decoys 100 years ago, that ain't the thing. I made the first Chickasaw decoy because I'm a Chickasaw person who went nuts for duck hunting and wanted to make my own decoys. So I did. The very first one I made was a gadwall, and it's owned by the National Museum of the American Indian.
Really?
In D.C. Yeah, in fact, it's August. It's their a member calendar. Mm-hmm. I'm Mr. August this year.
Oh, Mr. August.
Oh, yeah. Well, the decoy that I made
is that's wild, man. So, man, I forget. I want to say it was someplace in the Southwest. The reed decoy.
Spirit Cave, Paiutes. Yep.
So, that kind of puts you up there in that lexicon, huh?
Oh man, when I went to the New York branch of the National Museum of the American Indian, they wanted me to come to a summer program where I was talking to kids about hunting and making decoys and that kind of stuff, which is bonkers. These New York kids are like, "What you mean you got a gun? You out and shoot your food?"
Yeah.
One kid was like, "What do you do if you don't get any ducks?" I was like, "We go home and eat bologna like anybody else." Just blew their minds. Anyway, so I'm up there, and they have some of those Spirit Cave Paiute, ancestral Paiute decoys, and it's something else. 1,500, 2,000 years, however old they are, and they're just right there in front of me. I seen them on National Geographic when I was a boy, and now I'm looking at it
and they're
through the glass.
They're remarkably identifiable as what they are.
Oh yeah. So for your listeners,
and I'm sure they would have been.
Them,
well, just real quick.
Yeah.
Well, no, describe them and then I'll bring up on it.
Well, they're Thule reeds bundled together, and then they're essentially, in most cases, skinned. The real famous one is a canvasback. It's the skin, the feathered skin of a canvasback that's been applied to this Thule reed base body. Basically, it's bonkers. It's super cool. Found in a cave by some miner. I don't know when. Maybe early 20th century. There's a photo of them in a basket.
Yeah.
With this dirty face miner dude just brought it out of the hole. It's something else. And the descendants of those people are still around, in Nevada, for example, and they're still making those decoys.
Oh, are they really?
Yep. Pretty cool.
There's probably a big collector's market for them now, I imagine.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's still hunting ducks with them or not, but there's some good hunting out west on the res. Navajo has killer duck hunting all across Utah, California, Nevada. Lots of good sort of desert-y kind of duck hunting.
Really? There's a dude I've come across on Instagram. It's called Desert Waterfowl or something.
Mm-hmm,
yeah, maybe he might be in Arizona or something.
Yeah.
And I'm, you don't, those aren't places you associate with it, but I'm sure migrating birds, especially when water's in short supply, man.
Right.
When water pops up, man, they get in there.
Well, and there's a Hopi friend of mine. He makes kachina dolls, and he sent me a duck kachina. They have duck kachinas. They have duck dances. We have a duck dance. It's people don't think about it, but
what's a kachina doll?
It's a representation of these mountain spirits that come down. They're deities basically for the Pueblo people, like the Hopis, and then the northern and southern Rio Grande Pueblos. They all have these little dolls that sort of embody different kinds of spirits, and they're teaching tools for children. if you're really generally not allowed to see the kachina dances, but people will embody that spirit and dress like those kachinas and dance in their rituals. But the Pueblos do not mess around. Like, you can't even go on their reses if you're not a member of their Pueblo during the high sort of ceremonial days. Like, it's not a thing.
Really?
Yeah, they don't. They're wickedly conservative and have been doing that same thing for thousands of years. Zuni Pueblo is a good example. Acoma Pueblo. Yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff.
Did you make this? Did you carve that, or is that something you've collected?
Yeah, so no, that one was made by a guy named Harry Hamilton, who learned. We're talking about a canvas, a wire, canvas covered. Canada
that
Goose
is what I thought that was a carved decoy,
Yeah.
but you can see the
Yeah.
structure underneath it now.
So Harry Hamilton was in the service. I can't remember if he was Navy or whatever, but at any rate, he learned from these Currituck guys north of Core Sound to make this particular kind of decoy, and he brought it back to Core Sound and started making them sort of in that style. So yeah, I have a bunch of old decoys. I collect Carteret County exclusively these days anyway. So that's Core Sound, like Stacy, North Carolina, these particular makers. And then when I can, I buy decoys that were made by a man named Charles Sumner Bunn, who is a Shinnecock Indian from Long Island, Shinnecock Montauk. And he made some of the most famous and most valuable decoys in the world. And of course, they were misattributed to a white guy that didn't actually exist. But now we've uncovered it, and people can't lie anymore. Some of the best decoys ever made on this continent were made by an Indian guy, Charles Sumner Bunn, Shinnecock Indian. I have 3 of his.
Really?
I can't afford his shorebirds. His shorebirds are worth more than my house, but I have 3 of his.
Yeah, those
ducks.
decoys get ridiculous.
Oh, it was insane. When we were in New York, I was talking about going to NMAI to do that demo. They were Guy and Dieter's an auction house, and they were shopping around these 2 decoys from the Caines brothers. Incredibly famous South Carolina snaky neck mallards. I got to hold the hen, and I got to hold the drake. They later sold for, I don't know, $1.5 million or something crazy like that.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's all, value is subjective, but
yeah, man.
I loved holding those decoys.
So strange to think
something.
about how something that was designed to be so utilitarian.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm a call guy.
Yeah.
And now I don't have a like expensive collection or anything.
Yeah.
But people have probably heard me talk about like I think what really got me into calls was PS Olts, like the hard rubber calls, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I've got a PS Olt in the box, and it's got an original price tag on it.
Yeah.
$2.
Yeah.
And
people paying a pretty penny.
If someone had a wild hair up their ass right now, you could probably get $500 for something like that on eBay.
Yeah, no, wild.
It is wild.
I mean, I promise you, if any of these old dudes from Stacy, North Carolina, just as an example, like, you get a decoy made by Mitchell Fulcher, a famous pintail. It's worth like $40,000 or $50,000. And that fool sold that decoy for like $1, maybe $2.
Yeah.
These old heads saw the prices today. They'd be like, I don't know what's wrong with y'all.
People are idiots.
You need to get your head checked. So I have some older decoys here in the house, and then the majority of my collection's at work because we have fire suppression, and I spend so much time at work. My boss calls my office the hunting lodge. I care about Chickasaw language, and I like eating good, I like my wife and my kids, and I like shooting ducks and everything associated with it.
Do you mount birds?
No. I mean, not me personally. Yeah.
No, I mean, do you have any birds that are mounted?
Yeah. In my office, I have. I only ever mount things that I've shot on tribal land. So I have a wood duck right now, and I have a canvasback. I'm hoping to get a pintail this year. But generally, I try to work locally so that, like I can still eat it. Mm-hmm. I hate shipping them off and knowing that meat's not going to get consumed.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. It really
bothers me.
I guess I've never had a bird mounted where I got to keep the meat.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I kind of was mounting birds. I was mounting geese until I got kind of like all the Arkansas geese, right? So I got like, and I specifically was mounting geese at my place because everybody has mallards.
Right.
And I was like, I'll just have geese in here instead. Yeah. But
so you got a Ross's geese, eagle head, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I got
snow geese.
I've got like a blue and a white snow goose. Yeah. I got a Ross's goose. I've got a speck, obviously.
Right.
I killed a Canada last year.
Yeah.
I mean, so there is a blue phase. There's a blue phase Ross, just like there's a blue phase snow goose.
Yeah.
There's fewer of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, if I killed a blue phase Ross, I'd probably mount that. But other than that, I feel like I'm kind of done mounting birds.
Yeah.
It would be just because they're so pretty, like a turkey, a full mount on a turkey would be cool, but they take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
And it's like $1,200.
Oh, it's the whole thing. I did a fan mount with the biggest turkey I ever shot, but generally speaking, like I shot a Jake this year just to eat. I ship all those feathers to a buddy of mine, a Hopi guy, who uses them in different ways on his res.
Yeah, when we were hunting in California, my buddy Jimmy, like he was giving his feathers to an indigenous woman there that was doing like ceremonial stuff with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I kept the tail fans. I let him have the other ones, but I kept the tail fans.
Oh, that's great.
He was like, you can give him the tail fans too. And I was like, I cannot give him the tail fans too, man.
Yeah, yeah.
But now I've got like a stack of tail fans in my shop. And I gave one to my kid's school, and I don't know, it does get to where like,
what are you gonna do? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to.
Oh, I'll fix you one up. I'll make you traditional Chickasaw tail fan. It's the whole thing. It's cool.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
They take them and they literally turn it into a fan.
Oh, really?
Put the feathers a particular way. You pierce the bases, make a handle. It's a whole thing. It's cool.
Have you carved a turkey decoy yet?
No. No.
Why are you saying it like that?
That does not interest me.
Really?
That is too much work.
Well, just because it's so big?
Well, yeah. I mean, so huge, so much work. I would have to charge so much money for it. And
I'm talking about for you to hunt over. I'm not talking about making that buck, man.
Yeah, I could probably pull that off.
That'd be dope, dude.
I could pull that off.
Set it up to where you could put we're going to enter the reaping debate. You set it up to where you could put like a tail fan on it.
Yeah.
And I could kill your turkeys over that on tribal land.
Yeah.
That'd be neat.
I know several decoy makers that have made their own, like Jake, for example, or Jake and a hen, breeding hen combo, and have killed over them. But, man, I don't know. Turkeys that's a challenge. Maybe after I finish this full-size swan that I'm supposed to be working on.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do a swan, you can do a turkey, man.
Yeah.
You're also doing in here, and I guess you're kind of becoming known for it, is doing these ivory-billed woodpeckers.
Yeah, I do ivory bills and pileateds. They're quite popular. I did a flying ivory-billed woodpecker that placed at Santa Fe Indian Market in August, and I sold every woodpecker I brought. It's something about the color combination.
Who's buying it? Is it Indian folks buying it, or is it just like
No. The lady that bought the flying ivory-billed woodpecker was I think originally from Taiwan, if I remember right. She was a real sweetheart. Got to meet her daughter. Really cool lady. But no, I mean, just like anybody, like we collect, like Indian artists, like we collect one another's work. But when we go to market, it's for, generally speaking, the customers.
These are like art collectors that are buying this stuff. These aren't folks that are necessarily wanting to hunt Well, I mean, obviously you can't hunt a ivory-billed, but
Right. Well, my decoy work is interesting because it resonates with people, like it resonates with hunters, people that aren't hunters, but maybe they're into Indian artwork, folk art collectors, Western art collectors. I mean, the people that collect my stuff are really quite diverse. But I've made birds for quite a few tribal members. I made one for Creek Nation. It's in their hospital up at Okmulgee, I think. I made an ivory build for them. I'm working on an ivory build for Sterling Harjo, who's the director of Reservation Dogs. Working on one for him.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, a professor in Georgia. I have a long list of people that want ivory build in particular. But some people like the pileated too. But this is my side hustle. I just do it because I love it. I always have to do something creative. I get irritable if I don't. And I'm trying to pay for my wife's new kitchen. So I got bills.
Yeah, man, you got that granite countertop up there, I saw it.
Yeah, she wants to replace it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She wants brand new kitchen.
Hey, man.
Happy wife.
Do what you got to do, I guess.
Yeah.
We mentioned it before too, but like that TV show Reservation Dogs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's just like it's garnered a lot of critical acclaim.
Right.
And it's just like popular with folks.
Yeah.
Probably a little culty, like cult classic kind of thing. Like people feel like they're cool if they watch it.
Yeah. It is cool.
What is the what reservation is that supposed to be based on?
Creek Nation.
So
Muskogee Nation.
Just north of here.
Yeah. So sort of like northeast.
Yeah. I mean, I drove through Muskogee Reservation coming here.
Yeah. Directly north of us is Seminole, and then you've got Creek Nation, and then Cherokee Nation, and then down in the southeast is Choctaw Nation.
Is it filmed on up there?
It was filmed on the res in Oklahoma. Sterling Harjo lives in Tulsa. He's a Creek Seminole guy. The entire writer's room was Native folks. Cast is largely Native folks. I mean, the primary cast are all, Indian folks. But it is just, I don't know if you haven't seen it. It's like the first thing made by Indian people for Indian people. It is so real. It resonates so hard. It is totally oaky, just res-tastic. But what's so beautiful about it, my wife, who's a non-Indian, she says that sort of these universal truths come through, that even she is a woman who works in our community, works for our people, but is not herself American Indian person or Native person. It just hits her in all the feels. I mean, we watch every episode together.
Were they always calling? They're always calling everybody shit asses.
Shit asses, yes. That's it's sometimes it's appropriate. Sometimes it's appropriate. We had this thing called Indian Arttober, where we're supposed to do 31 new things for the month, and you post them on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I was really bad. I had a bunch of stuff going on. But so shit ass was one of the prompts. And so I just put a self-portrait that I drew. It's upstairs next to the fireplace. Because, sometimes I'm kind of a shit ass.
Is that just like a kind of a commonplace slang word?
Yeah. It's like, don't be a shit ass. Don't be a dumbass.
Yeah,
Stuff like that, yeah. Like, you see the cop. And it's like, don't be a shit ass. Go vote. Don't be a shit ass. Call your grandma. Stuff like that.
That dude,
it's just the meme culture coming, like taking over Reservation Dogs. All the Indian meme people. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is next level. It's so amazing.
Man, what do you think about
Indian Twitter? That's a whole other thing. You go on Indian Twitter, man. I don't know who's cooler, Black Twitter or Indian Twitter.
I just heard something that might all get shut down now that old boy got it.
Man,
what?
I cannot comment.
Yeah, that's beyond the purview of this podcast.
That's a different podcast.
What is what I've always wondered, right? So, and this is just like me asking you as an individual, but
yeah.
So you got Like if I'm thinking of like an Indian actor, like the first person that's going to come to my mind is Wes Studi, right?
Sure.
Like Wes Studi's been in everything.
Oh yeah, he was honored. He was honored recently with an Oscar, like an honorary Oscar or something along those lines. I mean, he's been. I had dinner with him.
Oh really?
He's a cool dude. His role in Reservation Dogs is just it's amazing.
Dude, he is like forever in my mind. He is a what's that dude?
That Pawnee,
Magua?
the Pawnee dude.
Yeah, and
from
Last of the Mohicans.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about he played a Pawnee guy on Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
He's surrounded by these Lakota folks, and he screams and does his war call and holds his hatchet up in the air, and then he gets shot and he falls dead off of his horse.
Dude, I always think he was like a real kind of a-hole in Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
But then if you like hear his backstory, like he was like, survived a great trauma and he's kind of like living out this revenge fetish.
Right. Wes Studi, Cherokee, like fluent Cherokee speaker, grew up in a Cherokee speaking home, veteran, I think served in Nam if I'm not mistaken. He's
there's another cat. I don't know his name. He's in Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, Graham Greene.
That's definitely him.
He's First Nations. I can't remember which First Nation he's from, but yeah, he's Canadian.
But I feel like those two dudes are like they've been in everything, right?
Yeah.
There's just kind of this handful of, hell, most of them were in Dances with Wolves. Like, so the lady who played Graham Greene's wife in that, she's been in tons of stuff.
Yep.
There's a younger guy too that he was like Law and Order actually. I can't remember his name, but I've always wondered. Like there's this. Hollywood has had this habit of, any Asian can play any Asian, right? So like you'll have a bunch of people that are supposed to be Japanese, and it's like Koreans and Chinese people, or vice versa, right? And then with American Indians, it's like kind of the same thing, right? And
needed like a ethnically ambiguous, dark-haired woman to play American Indian when there's plenty of qualified American Indian actresses who can do that. It's the whole thing.
You're also you're dealing with people that look really different.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see that on Reservation Dogs. It runs the gamut. There's White Steve, whether he's an Indian or not, they don't ever say. There's a guy who's a freedman, a black Indian fella who's on there. There's all sorts. Brown Indians, white Indians, and black Indians. If your listeners want to watch real TV made by Indian people, Rutherford Falls and Reservation Dogs. Those are the two shows most recently that I would recommend. Rutherford Falls recently canceled by Peacock. They suck. They need a third season rather. And I hope they'll do it. Shout out to Jana. I love you. Ed Helms, he's the man. And Sterling Harcho. I mean, God, that whole writer's room. I love all those guys.
Reservation Dogs, though, it's going strong, though, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Sterling's already talking about, like, season 4 and 5. And
I was about to say, it's like a big
When he's got some movies coming out, too. Like, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be directing the Jim Thorpe biopic that is coming out at some point. I don't know when they're going to start principal photography or whatever they call it, but yeah, Sterling's the man. He still returns my texts, which is real sweet because he's like super famous Indian dude now, and he doesn't need to do that, but I love him.
Well, it's kind of like we were talking about, especially when you're dealing with something that's like kind of ultimately like a small community.
Indian
people,
country
right?
is teeny. Yep.
It's
yeah.
Like it's weird to me that people I saw on TV and stuff, 5 years ago, that I could text, just because there's really, quote unquote hunting world, man. I mean, I don't know. There's maybe few hundred people in it, right?
Right.
Like everybody's 1 degree removed from everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? Like
I got a text tonight at dinner from my sister-in-law. She sends me a photo of this music program, and there's a piece written by a guy named Jared Impichanchaha Tate. She's like, hey, is this that guy you're working on that opera with? I'm writing the Chickasaw libretto for his opera.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah. She's in Minnesota. Her kid's playing, I think, a piece by Jared, and we're working on this libretto together. Indian country's teeny. It's teeny. Like, Sterling bought an ivory-billed woodpecker, and then he gifted that to Ethan Hawke. So
really?
I'm like 1 degree of separation from Ethan Hawke.
Oh, man, dude.
He's too famous to acknowledge my message, but I was like, man, I'm so jacked that you got that woodpecker. And so it's been 2 or 3 years now, and I owe Sterling one. So I've sold it. I've made it and sold it 3 times. This one is definitely going to him.
That's dope, man. Yeah, and like we were talking about, like supposedly the video of the ivory-billed woodpecker is like legit, like 7 minutes from Black Duck Revival. It's just like right up the road there in Bayou DeView.
Yeah.
Hey man, have you spent much time like in the woods and the waters of like your ancestral homeland?
Yeah, I've been back to Tupelo area at least once or twice every year for the longest, other than COVID. In fact, one of the sort of founding matriarchs of our family, we identified her pre-removal allotted land. She ran an inn along this big sort of trade road, and we went back and actually, me and my mother and then another one of her descendants, did an archaeological dig with Dr. Terry Week, who specializes in transatlantic slave trade sites. And we were looking for evidence of the enslaved Africans that she owned that were making bricks on her property that later removed with her and her family to Indian Territory. So I have real deep, strong connections to that place. I mean, I've stood on many,
do you ever go back there
places.
And hunt?
I haven't. No, I want to. I think it'd be meaningful to take a deer, a bear, a duck, whatever. I don't know if they have bears in northeastern Mississippi, but I could shoot a deer.
Man, I don't know if they've gotten that far over.
I think they're more delta.
Yeah. Which is like, that's where like the last ones kind of were anyway.
Yeah.
Like the last black bears in Arkansas were like damn near Mississippi.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know. Mississippi doesn't have a season or anything yet.
Yeah.
Louisiana it's coming. I think next year Louisiana is going to have a season. Here in Oklahoma, you've got a season.
Right.
Obviously Arkansas.
Yeah. I had mentioned before that one of the ancestral rites of passage for a boy to becoming a man was to harvest a black bear, and then of course your first war deed where you would not count coup because that doesn't really work for us, but you did some war deed, and you get a name and that kind of stuff. It's just sort of that coming of age ritual. I have never killed a bear, so technically I guess I'm not a man, but I'm looking forward to giving it a shot.
Man, I'll tell you what too. If you think about pre-European settlement, now that I've done it a couple times, I don't think it would have been that. I mean, there were so many bears. I don't think it would have been like I think it'd be way harder for you to do it now than it would have been for you to do it 200 years ago.
I
mean, you're talking about, right. They say there's 50,000 black bears in Arkansas.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about thick. Just like if you just hung out in the woods, you'd come across a bear.
Yeah. If you think about like Holt Collier or Daniel Boone, whatever. Yeah, they killed a bunch of bears because there was a bunch of bears.
Yeah, I mean, a lot fewer when Holt was around, man.
I'll give you that.
He started running out of them there towards the end.
Stone cold killer.
But yeah, man, there's places used to be replete with black bears. Yeah. That's something I'd like to see, man. Is like it'd be rad, like the way you drive around and you see deer. It'd be rad. I mean, I guess you could there's places you could probably go to New Jersey and see bears all over the place.
Like Hyde County, we're talking about Hyde County, North Carolina.
Yeah.
You go out at dusk and they're all in the fields eating corn, getting big.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Yeah. 800-pound bears, it's bonkers.
That's wild.
I don't need an 800-pounder. I'll take a 300-pounder.
I mean, hell, dude, chances are you're not going to kill a 300-pounder. I mean, like average.
Chances are I'm going to kill no bear at all.
No, I mean, you can do it, but I mean, like an average size black bear sounds like, in Arkansas, like 125 pounds. They're not near as big as people think they are, right?
Yeah.
They also, they photograph way bigger, I feel like. Like, I posted this picture of this bear that I took this year, and, I mean, I just, propped the phone up on some rocks there and took a picture.
Yeah.
And the way people were reacting to it, I was like, oh, they think this bear is way bigger than this bear actually is.
Oh, I know, I did. I thought it was 400 pounds.
Yeah, people think there's some giant bear, and it's not, man.
Yeah.
I think they just kind of read that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still hard to flip around and drag and move and do all that stuff, but it wasn't like.
Well, they're imposing from formidable. There's something supernatural.
They're
powerful.
They're
about
special
them.
critters, man. They really are, dude. They, and this is a broad generalization, but as I understand it, a lot of indigenous cultures regard them as special, right? Or regard them as teachers or involved with medicine or something like that. Yeah. They're kind of very closely related to human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I'm clear on all the reasons for that.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that nothing moves the way a black bear does in the woods that I've seen. Yeah. The way they move is they have a different relationship with the world around them than all those animals that are prey species.
Yeah, yeah. They have this sort of self-possession. They're moving confidently through a world where they're the top predator other than us.
Yeah, I mean, once they get to a certain size, I mean, like I said, other than another bear or a person, man, nothing's messing with them. And
I think our ancestors saw, you look at a bear without its hide. There's something strangely human about it, right? I think they were recognizing some of that stuff. And of course, there's ancestral ideas about the connection between an animal and the spirit of that animal, and then, its role as a clan animal, for example. All of those animals have powers, and if we, take them in a traditional way, we have to acknowledge their spirits and do certain things, to honor them. Otherwise, why would they reveal themselves and allow themselves to be killed by us if we're not treating them right? Because they're relatives. They're not just animals. They're relatives. Sam Johnson, we call him Kosi. We were hanging out. We were talking about making lye and hunting when he was a kid and stuff. And he's still living. He's got dementia. He's really nonverbal these days. But he told me that, Josh, you see some of these guys around here, and they're shooting coyotes. He called them wolves. He said, they're shooting wolves. He said, you shouldn't do that. He said, they're your relatives. He said, we don't kill wolves. So I never shot another coyote.
It also isn't doing anything to thin them out.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, are you?
They'll fill the vacuum. They will come in. It's
well. It's that when you kill a coyote, man, and the females will start dropping more pups.
Right.
You're not going to shoot a coyote out.
No. When in our ancestral ways, Chickasaws didn't even encounter coyotes.
Yeah, they weren't here
until they removed. Right. They didn't even enter Mississippi till the 50s, I think. There would have been wolves. Red wolves.
But there wouldn't have been coyotes.
Right. So the when we talk about red wolves, or just the original word is Nashoba, it's talking about those red wolves. Chickasaws didn't encounter gray wolves, but maybe when they were going up to fight in the north or something. Yeah. One word for coyote means the yellow wolf, and that would have been a relatively new term, a 19th century sort of term when our ancestors first encountered coyotes. Same thing with armadillos. Pauline Walker's one of my language teachers who passed away some years ago, and she said, Josh, when I was a little kid, there were no armadillos. She said, I didn't even see them till I had kids. It's like in the 60s.
Yeah, they've been moving up. Like when I was a kid, there weren't armadillos in Missouri yet.
Yeah. That's one thing that's really beautiful to remind people that, like, American Indian culture and lifeways and languages in particular, they're not static, right? They're still living. So, like, our ancestors created a word for horse when they first encountered Spaniards on a horse. They created a word for white person. They created a word for armadillo. They created a word for coyote. The word for armadillo, some people say shokata, which means the white pig. But we say hatakilapa, which means the eater of dead people. Because they're always futzing around in graveyards and stuff and eating bugs.
Digging up bugs and stuff. Man.
There's another one that means the pig with hard skin, which is kind of cool. Shokahak shopkalo. Because they're kind of pig-like. And in fact, that's another interesting distinction or point to draw. The original word for possum was shuka. And when our ancestors encountered pigs, they named that shuka and then modified the word for possum. So now it's like shukata, like I mentioned, similar word for armadillo, or there's one for possum that means like the one that grins, chucklihili. Like if you ask me, hey, what's your word for possum? I'd say that, chucklihili. It means the grinning one, the smiling one. And even possums figure really significantly in our like oral histories, traditional narratives and stuff. There's all these old school animal stories that were designed to teach, to impart moral teachings without this sort of over didactic, Western thing. Like, and here's the lesson of this story, kids. So when you learn the story of Possum, who had this elaborately, sort of super beautiful bushy tail, and he was always walking around showing people, look how beautiful I am. All the animals got mad, so at night they sent a worm to eat all the hair off his tail, and that's why his tail's naked. Or he tricked a deer into killing itself by running headlong into a persimmon tree at the base of a hill. He thought it was so funny that he killed a deer that his mouth was permanently stretched into that grin that you see today. Stuff like that. So sometimes it explains, our animal stories explain like natural things, like why something came to be this way, like why an alligator has scaly skin. In other ways, it's like, hey kids, don't do this. You need to, you don't need to put yourself above others. That is not a community value. Don't be showing off your fancy tail or the worm will come and eat it. Yeah, that's how they used to teach kids in the old days. They weren't like, now kid, don't go out and be eating stuff in the woods. They tell the story about the woman that ate eggs and became a snake. You don't want to be a snake woman.
Yeah, it's like an Aesop's fable or
exactly.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what's the plan tomorrow, man? I guess we're going to have to get some shit out of here because we got to get up early.
Yeah, so
we're going to hunt this. You're calling it an impoundment.
Yeah, so on the reservation, most of the large bodies of water are impoundments created from creeks. Back in the 30s, the WPA came in and created these holdings to, hold water. And so we're hunting at Lula, which is near Tullahoma, a traditional community that we saw today. And so we'll head out we'll meet up at 5:15 and then go out there and get set up. It's a really, really big body of water. It's wadable depth all the way across. So it's 2 to 3 feet deep at this point. We had good hunting this morning. We could have easily had a 4-man. There was just 2 of us there. But it'll be fun. We'll be hunting over a bunch of my wooden decoys that friends and so forth have made for me. And then we'll be hunting over some modern, soulless Chinese decoys too, because that's what my buddy hunts with. And
then it looked like you shot mallards, gadwalls.
Yep. Yeah.
Anything else?
We shot a spoonie.
Okay.
A spoonie hen. That was kind of wild. Like we didn't realize. We thought she just flew off. And so anyway, we wrapped up and we're heading out, and she flew off the dam and flew down. So I sent my female, her name's Kendall, down after her, and she's working the area. She goes into a just beautiful classic, bird dog point, just points, and then she realizes, oh, hey, Dad's not going to jump this bird, so she jumps it herself, and then snatches that spoony hen with her mouth out of midair, and then brought me the duck. She's a cool dog. We'll hunt with Tweety tomorrow, which is her son. He is almost 2. He'll be 2 in March, and I can guarantee he will not be as well behaved as she is. But you got to take him out and hunt him, or they ain't ever going to learn. So yeah.
Is he bad about breaking?
He is not steady to shot. He's not steady to shot, but he's not even 2 yet. So
yeah.
This
he's got a couple more years till he's in his prime.
Yeah. He'll be doing poodle pointers, and some of the versatile breeds are a little different. You can't run them like a lab. The training is a little more sensitive and less sort of aggressive, and takes a longer period of time. So he won't be finished until his second year, and he won't really be tuned up like how I like it till he's probably 3 or 4, and gets hundreds of birds under his belt. But he's a cool dog, and these things, there ain't no quit. You just send them, and they will search for that duck until they find it. It's bonkers.
That's awesome, man.
Cool dogs.
That's a tool for conservation.
Yep. Get a dog.
Well, if folks want to see your artwork or talk to you about some of your linguistic work, what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
So, Facebook, Lokosh, Lokosh. On Instagram, it's also at Lokosh. And then Twitter is Lokosh_Saya, which is spelled Saya. Lokosh.com's my website. My company email, my tribal email is joshua.hinson@chickasaw.net. So any of the art stuff, language stuff, however you want to get a hold of me. I'm pretty active on social media. I'm not like super handy like the youth are, but I like to be on there and sharing. For me, it's like a visual, it's like a diary. I like to go back and relive these amazing experiences. I ain't trying to get likes or, whatever. I'm just living my best life, and I want to remember it. So holler at me. Well,
yeah, dude. Hopefully tomorrow we get a 3-man limit.
I'm feeling it. I think I'm feeling good, and it may be a quick one. We were done this morning by 8. If so with you're with us, I think we'll.
That might be good. Work. I got to get back to Little Rock.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, we need to get you limited and gone.
Anyway, man, dude, thanks a bunch. Enjoy the conversation.
It was awesome. Appreciate it. Yakukeich, man.
And thanks for listening, folks. Hey, thank you so much for listening all the way through this episode of the Black Duck Revival podcast. As always, it's produced by me, Jonathan Wilkins, and Brian Sachs. Hey, I've noticed there have been some new reviews and some new 5-star reviews and some new written reviews. And man, thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate it. It looks like folks are enjoying the podcast, and I'm sitting on some episodes now, so like some of that stress is off of me. I know that we'll have a good winter with some really interesting guests. The next one coming up, man, is a guy that I've got so much respect for, and I'm so looking forward to you guys getting to get introduced to him. But if you want to keep up with me, look, just go to Instagram. It's Black Duck Revival is the handle there. You can also follow me on the website. That's blackduckrevival.com. I've got a bunch of articles and recipes and stuff over at sitkagear.com. So you can go to sitkagear.com, go to the experiences tab, and then I've got articles about turkey hunting and duck hunting and goose hunting, elk hunting. I've got recipes for a lot of those different critters as well. So check that out. And I'm bebopping around for the rest of the winter. I'm gonna get to spend some time here at home, waiting on the kid to come, and then I'll be go to California to see my friend Rue Mapp. Texas. I'll be down in Texas chasing sandhill cranes in mid-January, and I'm so looking forward to that. So, and then some other trips, doing some local stuff. Got some folks coming up. Hopefully we'll have enough water that I can actually take them hunting. But anyway, folks, thanks so much. Feel free, if you have not done so, to leave a review, written or just the starred reviews. Those help out big time. Tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell an acquaintance about the podcast, and we'll see you next time.